Hey YouTubers, I've been watching a lot of knife making videos and stuff on YouTube. Like I'm sure if you're probably checking out my channel, that's what you're interested in also. Somehow interested in knives or making knives. And I want to keep putting some how-to videos on, especially for new knife makers or part-time knife makers who are looking for tips and tricks. And I really enjoy that. People helped me out when I was starting making knives. My knife making mentor is Rick Hinderer. And Rick is now a very famous folding knife maker, incredible guy. Um, I started working with him about 11, 12 years ago, and Rick was making high-end art knives at the time, and he was super helpful. There's some knife makers out there who they get all big and bad and full of their own self-importance, and they won't help anybody. And Rick is a person who helped me out. I went and worked with him in his shop. He gave me lots of tips. He let me work on projects with him. Really was a total mentor to me, and I'm just honored to be apprenticed by him and learned a lot of great things from Rick. And I want to be the same type of person. I don't pretend that I have his knife making stature, but I really want to help people learn how to make knives if they're interested and be one of those guys who could pass along tips because they were passed along to me. So if you want to put in any response to my videos, a question or a suggestion, or you want a personal, send me a personal message and say, hey, Tim, what about this? What about that? I don't know the answer to everything, but I certainly will try to help you. And I'm a guy who does a lot of things, just finds the cheap way to do it, an inexpensive way, a simple way. And today I want to talk about jimping. And there's a lot of people who make knives who are starting out who really like jimping and they want to do it. And you'll see a lot of knives on YouTube, and this is not, I'm not cutting anybody down because, if you saw my first knives, they were just really ugly. But I thought they were awesome. And I tried to jimp in the beginning too, round files, things like that, and I'd kind of have these real uneven sawtooth looking things, and they just didn't look good. And so I want to show you. I went to Rick's shop and asked him, said, Rick, can you teach me how to do this? And so Rick taught me a technique for jimping. The first one I learned, I'll show a couple if people are interested, but the first one I learned was using a checkering file, and I want to show you a little bit about that process. And so here's a checkering file, what a checkering file looks like. This one I've been using for 10 years, and it's still sharp. And a checkering file is used to cut, just like its name says, checkering in metal. You can buy these anywhere from 30 to, I've seen them for $120 depending on what kind you get. I checked on eBay today, there was one on sale there, 30 teeth per inch, 30 lines per inch, that was for sale for 22 bucks. You can't go wrong. This is not expensive, and the fact that you'll be able to use this, it's not a consumable, you just use it over and over again, and if you use it properly, it's going to last. I mean, mine's lasted for 10 years, and you'll see how well it cuts. So I want to just get right to it and show you what checkering with a checkering file, putting some jimping on a knife would look like. It puts very little effort, you'll see, and very even and clean looking, and hope you enjoy this. So here's what we're going to be working on, this kind of jimping on this knife I made. We'll start out with an old folder blade that I had in my scrap bin. It's '01 tool steel that I had been working on for a liner lock and had to replace this blade, but it'll be great for us to work on. So the first thing you do is take a Sharpie and mark exactly where you want your jimping to be. This will protect you from making a mistake and jimping part of the blade that you don't want to jimp. So you just clamp it up in your vise and leave yourself plenty of room to see where your marks are. And once you have those marks, you'll be ready to file the jimping right in there. So what you'll be using is a checkering file, and these checkering files have teeth on both sides, and I've marked them with a Sharpie, side 1 and side 2, because you always want to use the same side for cutting jimping on one knife. It doesn't matter which side you use, you just want to use the same one so that the teeth line up. So using my thumb as a guide, I start a slow cut across the knife. Sorry about the bad videography, it's a little tough to see, but you just start cutting and rocking the knife just a tiny bit, being careful to keep it very straight across the blade. And as you cut, it'll get easier and easier because as material cuts away, the teeth of the jimping will actually hit the bottom of the file, and that's how you know that you're done. Then if you look down, you can see I've got good jimping that is exactly as wide as the file. And the last tooth on the far right there, you can see it's a little more shallow. And what we're going to do to extend that is we're going to place our checkering file using the same side, which was side 2 that I was using to cut with. We're going to use that same side of the file to start extending the jimping down the file. So I'll line it up to make sure that the first teeth in the file line up with that shallow groove on the very end of the jimping that we started with. And I'll just slowly cut back and forth using that shallow groove to kind of guide and make sure that my next set of teeth in the jimping are really lined up accurately. And when we look down on it, you'll be able to see that the teeth are very even and the jimping looks really, really good. There it is. So that's how you do it. It's not really a hard process. You can file it dry like I did there, or if you want to, you can put a drop of cutting oil or a squirt of WD-40 onto the metal just to help the file cut a little bit. And sometimes that's a good idea depending on what kind of steel that you're using. You can do this on stainless, O1, high carbon tool steel, anything that you make a knife out of. You can do it on straight knives, on folders, and when you feel it in your hand, it's real tactile. It's something that your thumb won't slip off. You can put it on the bottom however you want. And I'll be adding some videos that show a couple other techniques for jimping, a couple different styles, using a drill press, using some other files in the future. And check back to see those. Hope this was helpful for you. Get out there and jimp a knife.